Let's wrap up these last three questions of the specific set for the first paragraph. And the point I just want to make in this video, kind of reiterating what I've said before, but just to really drive it home. Number one, when you're doing a line reference question, make sure you are looking specifically at the line reference, that you don't stray too far away from what you're looking for in that particular line. So for example, number 32 is about line 15, number 34 is about line 20. You should stick as close as you can to those lines. If you have to stray outside of those lines to get context, that's okay. Just don't go too far. So if you're finding an answer for number 34, you found that answer like later, like in line 42, just totally irrelevant. Stick to the line. The answer is going to be somewhere around that line reference. The other thing to keep in mind with these line reference questions, again, is the answers in the text, right? I've stressed this so much because it's so important. Find the evidence in the text. If there's no evidence for choice, it just can't be the answer. Even if it seems reasonable and it seems right from real life experience, it's got to be in the text. Let's look at 32. The author describes the people who live in the houses of some as interested in what? Notice an interesting question. We've got a line reference, but then also a bit here that tells us where to find the answer to the question. But let's see what they're talking about, the houses of the some, what they're interested in. So we'll go here. Let's start at line 12. This change, however, is not to be deplored, but welcomed as highly beneficial. It is well, nay, essential, for the progress of the race that the houses of some should be homes for all that is highest and best in literature and the arts, and for all the refinements of civilization, rather than none should be so. Now, what is the passage saying here? What are the houses of some interested in? Well, basically the author is saying that there should be some houses that care for and cherish that which is good about civilization, right? The highest and best in literature and arts, and all the refinements of civilization. So let's look at the choices. Materials from which their houses are constructed. Does it say anything about the materials? Nothing in the text, can't be the answer. Size of the homes. Does it say that these homes are larger or smaller or anything? No, it doesn't say that. Get rid of it. Advantages of culture. There we go. Notice this actually kind of maps on directly to refinements of civilization. It's a nice little rephrasing of it. But yeah, advantages of culture. In other words, the literature, the arts, that which is highest and best in culture and civilization. That's what's being discussed here. This maps onto this part of the passage. So I like C. Pedigree of their guests. Where does it mention people, guests, anything like that? It doesn't, right? Stick close to the text. It'll guide you. So we'll go with choice C. For the line reference, we're probably looking for something in this region, so like 15 to 17. Best choice here looks like choice B for that reason. Let's just check the other choices. 9 to 10. The contrast between the palace of the millionaire and the cottage of the laborer with us today measures the change which has come with civilization. Doesn't really map onto any of these. It's quite far away from the reference, as we've discussed. You got to stick pretty close to the reference. This is pretty far and doesn't really inform it very well, so we'll get rid of A. 18 to 19. Much better this great irregularity than universal squalor. Again, it doesn't say anything about the houses of some. We'll get rid of it. Without wealth, there can be no Maecenas. And I believe they define that. There's a little star here. What do they say? Gaius Maecenas was a great patron of the arts. That's at the bottom of the passage. Doesn't seem really relevant at all. So we'll get rid of that. So best choice here is B. Let's move on to 34. The author uses the phrase good old times as an example of what? So let's pick up where we left off. The good old times, notice the quotes, were not good old times. Neither master nor servant was as well situated then as today. So when you use quotes in this way, the author is not, in this case, quoting someone specific. He's not quoting an expert or quoting a subject or anything. There's no actual citation of somebody here. So the quotes are serving a different purpose. Sometimes you hear these quotes called scare quotes. Basically, and you can imagine, have you ever seen someone do the air quotes where they say like, yeah, that's really cool, and they put the little motion with their little fingers to make quotes? It's the same idea, except this is in text. Basically, you use these quotes, these scare quotes, to use a term but also indicate your displeasure with it, your disagreement with the term. So the author is using the term good old times but doesn't actually believe they were good old times. And that becomes very clear literally in the rest of the sentence, right? The good old times were not good old times. So we need a choice that reflects that usage of the quotes. A cliche that still has life and usefulness left in it. If anything, just the opposite. The author is disagreeing with the cliche. They were not good old times. A bit of folk wisdom from his childhood. So where is this coming from? From his childhood? Like, where is that coming from? Folk wisdom? Just completely irrelevant, not mentioned in the passage. Something said by those who have acquired great riches. I mean, does it say that this is something said by those who have acquired great riches? It has to say that or imply it. There's no evidence for C. Something said by people who do not share his viewpoint. So there we go. He is saying, look, the good old times, as some of you out there probably call it, weren't good old times, right? This is a phrase that has been uttered by some, and he disagrees with it, right? And they don't share his viewpoint. So D matches exactly what we discussed. So we'll go with choice D. To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll. And you can find the link in the description below the video.